Hello everybody, Denise here again. More information just keeps coming, and you know, water, it's so funny because water, we forget how sacred water is. It just seems that I get a lot of my downloads, a lot of my transmissions when I'm near, in and around water. And I think water almost acts as a conduit to the goddess energies, the information about the event, quote, that we are going through. That it's thanks to Cobra, it seems like the event is the word that has stuck for what we are going through right now. And I guess it's something that a lot of us recognize when we hear and see the word, and we just know what we are referring to when we say the event. But in my transmission this morning in the water, the goddess was coming through about our sexuality. And you know, she wanted to remind us of when God was a woman. And this has everything to do with the event. It just goes together. And she was talking about our very, very powerful sexual energy and how powerful women's sexual energy is. And you know, God was a woman for 30,000 years, and God has been a man for how many thousands of years? Huge difference there. And you know, we are reclaiming our power. And I'm not talking about feminism. I'm talking about this balance. Something that we need to return to in order to move forward into the new earth. And Gaia wants the women to lead the way, so to speak. How do I say this? You know, okay, so what is a really good way of bringing the goddess back, reconnecting with Gaia? Now remember, the history of the women, and when God was a woman, was a fertility religion, and it was based on birth, death, and rebirth. You know, everything came out of the woman at that time. And but I wanted to talk today about the power of sexuality and how we've been programmed to turn away from that. You know, women who we carry thousands of years of cell memory of rape and abuse and suppression. You know, remember in the 1800s when a woman experienced PMS, the husband didn't want to deal with it, so he had her thrown in a sane asylum. And lobotomies were done on her. She was tortured. And this was all part of suppressing the power of the woman, the woman's menstrual cycle, and the power of her sexuality. And that just has been suppressed, and it's been turned into a dirty, ugly thing. Women's sexuality, anything to do with that has been termed evil. You know, I mean, look at menstrual cycles. Oh, I got my curse. Remember when we used to call it the curse? Doctors are, you know, trying to find drugs to stop our menstrual cycle. Women are bombarded with xenoestrogens so they can go have hysterectomies, you know, early in life, and so when we talk about the goddess religion, the turning back to Gaia, because remember, Gaia is feminine. Gaia gave birth to everything. Gaia gave birth to us. Gaia gives birth to everything that we ingest. And so it's time for us to remember that and go back to that, because that is a huge step in this event. Cobra even talks about the goddess and the return of the goddess, and which sometimes makes me wonder if Cobra is not a female. We don't know right now. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But women's sexuality. I mean, I'm 57 years old right now. I am a crone. I am in my wisdom years, and you know, during my maiden years, sexuality was just a lot of fun and, you know, time to party, and you know, we didn't look at it in the sacred manner that the women in the wisdom crone years look at it. And we need to return to the sacred time. We need to look at it once again at how sacred it is and how powerful it is. The power has been taken away. And I went through a lot of years where, you know, I just had that cell memory, and when I was older, and I wasn't drunk or stoned, you know, during sex. I guess for me, that was a way to suppress these welling cell memories that would come up in me during, you know, intercourse. You know, you could just feel the heavy breathing in your ear of someone that you did not give permission to, you know, take part in the sacred act, and, you know, just all the abuses and the horrors of what women went through. And, you know, we carry that within us. And I think that's why so many women have to, I need to have a glass of wine or two before I can relax and before I can have sex. And that's not how it was. That's not how it's supposed to be. And, you know, it was the overthrow of the divine feminine. And it's time for us now to get rid of that. And by doing that is to remember who we were and remember how powerful our sexuality is. And, you know, before the overthrow of the divine feminine, before patriarchal societies were formed, the men were imbalanced with this. It was a harmonious communion. They revered the women. They knew where life came from, where a life originated from, and it was a communion. And now it's separation. Men are from Mars and women are from Venus. That's all separation. That's all part of the, you know, I hate to even bring all that darkness up, because we don't need to give it any more names. We don't need to think about that anymore. We need to move past that. And we need to go back into the way it used to be, the original plan for Gaia. And this is why it's taking so long for the event to culminate, because we're still dealing with that. We're still going through that dark night of the soul. Women and men, boys, you know, we know boys were also treated just like women when the duality and the separation of the sex with the patriarchal control came to be. And so our power, you know, before men became in control and were able to suppress this power of women, they feared. These men that wanted to be in control did all this out of fear, because they knew the power and the healing power in the sacred act of sex. There's a lot to be said about tantric sex, but before this overthrow, men used to go to women in reverence, and the sexual act was a healing act. It nurtured the men. The bodily fluids were said to be healing, and of course, yes, when you think of it, when you take the negativity and the darkness out of it, it is healing. It brings forth life. And so we need to return to that. You know, we need to learn how to redirect the sexual energies. That sexual energy it's a primal energy. When two beings are together and they become one, and that energy, I mean, if we were to take a Carillion photograph machine and put it on a couple that are deeply in love and intertwined in the sacred sex, the energy would just be explosive. It would just be explosive. And it feeds Gaia. It sends reverence to the goddess, and so we need to learn to redirect our energy to ourselves. The Egyptians knew this. They called it anking, the symbol, the Ankh symbol. They knew that they needed to, so many men wasted the ejaculation energy. They just wasted it. And not to mention who was feeding off of that energy. I don't want to give these any more thought. We need to get past that, but we also need to stop feeding them. Because it's a great source of food and energy for them. So that's why we need to redirect that energy, redirect it into ourselves. We need to be mindful of that energy, and we need to feel the power of it, especially the women. But we need to come together. We need, you know, and it's hard to talk about it, you know, it's, you know, especially with your partner. You know, it's like me, my husband, he's not really into any of this. He thinks it's all pretty cool, but he just, you know, don't bother me with it. So it's, you know, I'm sure if I sat him down and said, hey, look, he would probably go, well, that's kind of cool. Okay. You know, so it's partly my stuff. I need to get past that. So yes, we need to learn to use this very powerful primal energy, and we need to also redirect it towards the goddess, back to the goddess, and back to Gaia. I mean, it is even more powerful than our rainbow light meditations. And so this is why they have worked so hard at suppressing this energy and doing whatever they could to have it looked upon in a bad light. Christianity has fueled that fire, you know, so it is time for us to come back to our harmonious communion. And men, you can do it too. You really need, my other video I talked about women nurturing men. Men, you can learn to nurture the woman. Look at the power that she carries within her. And when we come together like this in such understanding, just think of what we can create out of that. And the goddess has gone away because we were programmed not to think of her. We were programmed to look at her in a negative light. Like all the other gods and goddesses. God, there's movies like that. The Merlin movies. Marion Zimmer Bradley, who wrote Mists of Avalon. I mean, she talks about it. And if you haven't read that book, you need to read that book. But yes, she just went away because we no longer thought about her. We were programmed and we were coerced to think of the God as male, and so we lost that. We lost our connection to Gaia, and when we lost our connection to her, it almost killed her. But she, like I said in my other video, she was able to rise above because of the source energies, the goddess energies that have been coming in now, saying enough is enough, time to change this. So when we have sex, we have to be very mindful of that energy, and we have to be very mindful of why we are having sex and who is feeding off of that sex. We need to start to be very responsible about this, and to use this in a very powerful way to assist in this ascension, to assist Gaia, and to assist in the return of the goddess. And what it will do for us is just going to be amazing, guys. So that's just what I wanted to say today. And I wanted to keep it short. But once again, you know, listen to me in your own discernment. You know, this is the time when all of this is really starting to come through in all of us. We have so much information to share and to compare. And, you know, we might listen to somebody and only one part of it might resonate with us. And then maybe a month from now, the rest of it will resonate with us. That's how it works. A lot of us are still in the fog, but because you're here, because you found this video means that you are on your way. So it's just time for all of us to come together in love and get out of this duality and out of this separation, and you know, really reconnect. And so that's all I have to say today, guys. And so really pay attention, and just let's really return to the sacredness of our sexuality and what it was truly meant to be for, and for all of us to just use it, you know, as a release. Hey, that's great, but be mindful of who your partner is, because your partner, if your partner is not in a higher vibrational state or is not a compassionate person, that partner is actually taking your energy. They are actually feeding off of your energy, not to mention those out there. And so let's just be more mindful about it. Let's return, and women, let's return to the sacredness and the power of our sexuality. Let's not be afraid of it, and let's try to work through that cell memory of the generations and generations and generations of abuse and control, and the programming that has been put into us. Let's go back into our heart center. Remember, our heart center is our goddess center. And let's really, we don't need to be inebriated to have good sex. We just need to look at why we need to have 3 glasses of wine before we go there. And by looking back at that and saying, no more, you're not controlling me anymore. I am woman, hear me roar. I'm getting goofy here. I'm high on sexuality, you know. But anyways, that's what I have to say today. And let's turn this around, people. Okay? Let's just remember who we were, and remember the original plan that got hijacked. And, you know, the information is good. We need to learn about that information, but now that we know that, let's go beyond that. Let's rise above that, and let's breach through this. And once again, come together in and Holy Communion and Blessed Communion. And so anyways, I love all of you, and keep sharing and spreading the love. And let's see, today is March 11th. You're watching this now, and it's a few days later. I usually don't get these out until Saturday. So anyways, love you all. Bye.